Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marc Summers Unwraps. Who's our guest today? Well, we're going to play 17 questions here. He was born and raised in Eastchester, New York. Have any ideas? Probably not. He graduated from the University of Connecticut School in Fine Arts and also did puppetry, which I want to talk to him about as well. He voiced Louie Duck on Disney's DuckTales, and he does a boatload of VOs right now, and I want to talk to him about that. It's an area that I've always wanted to get in. I haven't been able to do it, and now he's doing every series I see out there, animation-wise. He's busy doing that. Here we go. This will knock it down a little easier. Sketch regular on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. He was on Saturday Night Live from 2008 to 2017. Say hello to Bobby Moynihan. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you? How have you not done voiceover?
Well, you know what?
You have like the most recognizable voice. Like you are. I was talking to my wife about this morning. Like just hearing your voice. I've heard your voice my entire life.
Yeah.
It's just it's a soothing thing. Your voice is like, I'm about to have a really wonderful time.
Well, that's good to hear. I will be in, Macy's or something with my back turned to somebody and they'll go, "Oh my God, it's Marc Summers."
Yes, 100%.
I didn't realize my voice was so distinctive and stood out. Now, I've done a boatload of Robot Chickens.
Yeah.
Which have been fun.
Yeah.
And I did Loud House on Nick. I've done a few.
You should be doing it all the time.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It truly is.
How did you get into it?
I loved cartoons, and like I weirdly enough, I guess now I'm trying to think of like honestly. I think what truly happened was I got on SNL. I got a call from Dan Scanlon. He was a producer on or director on Monsters University for Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "You did this one character and I just saw the voice and I just thought you'd be great for this." I think I had done like a couple little jobs here and there, but it was like once he put me in that, like Monsters University, like Pixar, like it was like once I got that job,
it all opened up.
But I also like learned a lot doing that, like about it. I learned very much that like there are voiceover artists and then there are people who were on Saturday Night Live who are lucky enough to get cartoons. And like I kind of find myself somewhere in the middle now, I hope.
Well, it seems like you're a lot more than in the middle. You're working all the time doing these things.
Yeah, I love it. It's the best.
Well, it's the best because you can show up basically in your pajamas.
Like this.
and I tell you what's great. I mean, I haven't done a Robot Chicken in several years, but those checks keep coming.
Good for you.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I got one the other way from Loud House, and I did that 3-4 years ago. And,
I guess it's fun to see Robot Chicken checks.
They're just ridiculous, right? So I don't know. It's a fun way to make a living, and
100%.
Anytime you can do it in your house or half dressed, that's always a good thing. And we've had a lot of VO guys on the show, and those shows always explode. The guy who's doing all the Warner Brothers characters right now, Mr. Bowser, he's killer.
I mean, yeah, I just saw him on here. I'm a huge fan of his. And,
he's great.
That's where I saw him
he's amazing, and of course Billy West has done everything.
All those guys, Tara Strong, everybody, amazing.
Oh yeah, it's just such a great way to make a living. So in my research, and I was able to do a pretty good deep dive on you.
I was like, 49 hours of research you did just for this? That's crazy, Mark.
So you took puppetry classes?
Yeah, I took a bunch.
What was your interest in that? That's fascinating to me.
I think UConn is like, I went to UConn, University of Connecticut, and it's one of the only schools in America that had a puppetry department. And I think that was one of the reasons why I went there. I was just a big Muppets fan, and like, it wasn't necessarily like, I'm going to be a puppeteer at all. It was like, oh, they have that there too? Like, that's nuts. Like, and I took a couple classes. I met a lot of puppetry people. We're all actors and puppetry people. I mean, they're just two different types of weirdos.
But people don't realize how difficult it is, because most people, as you know, when they go to do the mouth, they do it backwards.
Backwards into a monitor. They're looking into a monitor, but they have to perform backwards while also it's nuts. The eye contact, like we're knowing where it is. It's
hard.
Like, yeah, I'm good friends with a couple of them now, and Bill Beretta and those guys, like David Rubin, like Dave Coles, like they're just,
I went to school with a guy by the name of Paul Fusco, who is from Connecticut, and he created Alf.
I've never heard of him. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah. And he was always, well, we started off as magicians. I used to work the Magic Castle and do all that kind of stuff.
You did?
Yes, for years. Amazing. When I first moved out here in 1973, I was a regular at the Magic Castle. and worked there for many, many years. And then I became a regular at the Comedy Store in 1976. And so most people don't know that background of me. They grew up watching me on Double Dare or, What Would You Do or whatever, and they assume that's what I always did. But I always wanted to be a stand-up comic.
Wow.
And so when I started back in the day on Mondays when you would stand in line to become a regular at the Comedy Store, there were 50 people standing there maybe. Now there's 550 people because everybody thinks they can do it. It's very difficult, needless to say. But I started when the Comedy Store was in its prime, as far as I'm concerned. I started with Dave Letterman and Robin Williams and Jay Leno and all those guys.
Wow.
And so it was a magical time to be there and just to sit in the back of the room every night because Pryor would come in, 5 nights a week. I don't think he knew where he was at the time, but he was there. And to watch those guys perform was magical. And so I also went to school with a guy by the name of Andy Kaufman. And he went to...
Wait, what, like high school?
No, college. Yeah.
Wow.
And so Andy was always nuts. And he's doing his crazy character one night on stage, but I never knew that it was him, Tony Clifton. And I was sitting next to a friend of mine, Will Schreiner. He goes, that's Andy. And I went, Andy who? He goes, that's Andy Kaufman. I went, no, it's not. And the fact that he pulled off that Tony Clifton thing as well as he did. So to be in that, I was never that good and never that funny, but I learned a lot about performing by hanging out and watching those guys. And when you'd get to the Comedy Store 3 nights a week, in front of the store, it was always Letterman talking to Leno because they were best friends at the time. And Dave would just sit back and go, how did you think of that? How did you come up with that? Because Jay, to me, is the hardest working comic ever, always working on new material and all these little arts, puppetry, magic, and then you get into stand-up, which is more than that. In fact, you have a story about Robin Williams, don't you?
I do. Yeah, it was a quick, weird thing. I mean, like my entire life, he's Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And it was ASCAT, a show we do it at Upright Citizens Brigade. It was the night before it was Sunday night and the Monday morning before my first night on SNL. My first, I'm going into the writer's meeting. I'm starting the week. My first week at SNL, Michael Phelps was hosting.
Oh my. And you're pooping your pants.
I don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
To me. I'm just on cloud 9 and I have no idea that my life's about to change pretty much.
Oh yeah.
And I was kind of excited. I'm at my home theater, I'm at the Improv Theater and Seth Meyers was there. And I thought they were going to say and now the new cast member from Saturday Night Live. I was excited,
Of course.
And they were hey, we're not going to announce it tonight just in case. And I'm because the NBC wants to announce it. And I went oh, okay. Well, does that mean I might get fired? I got terrified. And then out of nowhere, they were a woman just showed up backstage and was Robin Williams is here and he would like to know if it's cool if he sits in and performs with you guys. And we were what? Of course. And he did. And it was amazing. And he was so kind and
he was
funny.
Brilliant.
I mean, just that I had that time on that night alone was the greatest thing in the world. And then I had 4 minutes of absolute terror with him, which is, and I truly don't think he was kidding. But I think it just wasn't the most important thing in the moment. He just went I heard you're starting SNL. And he's yeah. He's I have an idea. Give me your clothes. I'm what did you just say to me? And yeah, he just told me, he's give me your clothes. We'll switch clothes and I'll go in to work for you. I'll go in dressed as you. It'll be hilarious. And I was no. I can't. It's the most honest I've ever been in my entire life. Oh, yeah. I was I don't think that's a great idea. I think Lorne Michaels would hate that. And he was give me your number. We're going to do this. And I was just oh my God, what's happening right now? This is going to happen. And he never called.
Oh, he never called you. No. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you come out of the womb knowing exactly what you wanted to do?
I mean, I mean, did you?
I did. See, I did. I'm one of the lucky people who grew up watching Ed Sullivan and, Johnny Carson back in the old days and all that stuff. And I thought, that's the best gig in the world. In that sense, yes. I did grow up going, I want to be on Saturday Night Live. And it definitely, I tried to get there. And so that was a mission. Yeah. I have video of me as a kid. I've said this 100 times too. I have video of me as a kid coming out of the bathroom with my mom going Bobby Moynihan. And I'm just doing those opening. Yeah. So that was a goal. And what was your way you were going to get there?
I don't think I knew. I think it wasn't really like, it was like I loved SNL. It was like I went like, God, that looks like fun. I could do that. Like that's what I want to do. Became an acting major, went to college, did some theater, came back here, found Upright Citizens. Oh, came back to New York, not here. Sorry. Found Upright Citizens Brigade, the Improv Theater, and Amy Poehler, and those guys, and like started there immediately. Amy got SNL like couple months later, and I went like, got it. I'm staying here and I'm just going to learn how to do this. And then
did somebody come in and see you? Is that how it worked?
I started like touring with Horatio Sands, doing like stuff.
My God.
And yeah. And then like doing improv shows. And then I had a sketch group called Buffoons with Charlie Sanders and Eugene Cordero, who are both, amazing working actors now too. And like, we went to JFL, like I think Just for Laughs Festival, got on SNL's radar. We auditioned, I got it. And
what was the audition like?
It was nuts. The first one was I prepared for like a year. Like you sit there and you go like, what? I watched every SNL audition for 10 years.
Yeah, see, I watched those as well.
Yeah.
And it seems to be kind of an ad lib thing.
Well, I think what you realize if you really do watch them all is like the people who, in my opinion, the people who were most effective were the people who essentially went, here's a bunch of shit that I think's funny. Pardon me if that's okay.
No,
to
you
say.
can do that. Not a
like
problem.
it's like Will Ferrell's like, here's this weird thing I'm great at. Like, here's this weird thing. Like, it's like, I think my first audition, I did like 4 characters and 4 impressions. Like I was supposed to.
Who were the impressions that you did?
I'm terrible at impressions. So like there are mimics out there, like Jay and those guys, like Jay Farrow and Taryn and like Daryl.
Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey, you know what I mean? Like that's not me. I a lot of mine is 90% costume and 10% charm. It's like Snooki.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. Vaguely Italian helps. Like Guy Fieri, it's a wig. I put the glasses on backwards. I scream at everybody, and just that's it's like I get lucky with that.
That was one that really stood out.
That was a fun one. Like energy was my impression, like their energy.
But it worked.
Yeah.
And, having worked at Food Network for 20 years, right away I called Fieri and said, guess what? You've made it when SNL does you.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. He would call me up all the time. I did a lot of videos for his kid's birthday. Yeah.
Oh, how funny.
He's the best. Nice guy.
Yeah, good guy. Really good guy. Very generous man, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So you did it, and how many auditions did you do before you got the phone call that said you're hired?
I auditioned once. I don't remember what year. And then the writer, I thought I was going to get it. I thought they were bringing me in, and the writer's strike happened. I sat there for 9 months thinking my life's dream had come true. It didn't. And then after they came out, I didn't get it. Someone else got it. And then I got a call like a couple months later saying like, can you come in on Thursday? And I was like, and just went like, well, we'll see. I thought this was gone. So, and I went back in, did a bunch of weird stuff. And a week later I was on the show.
So who calls you and
already
says,
finished my first one.
I got great news for you.
Lorne called me. It was, the night before, I got a phone call from my agents saying, hey, Lorne's manager passed away, Bernie Brillstein. So we're probably not going to hear anything. Like, I don't think you're on the top of his list in this moment. And I went like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Of course, no problem. With that kind of ease, I went like, I'm not a big drinker. I bought a bottle of wine and I sat down and started watching Lost, I think, and I just got hammered. And I'm not a big drinker. And next day, like 1 p.m., woke up to the phone ringing, and it was Lorne. And he just said, hey, Mr. Moynihan, how are you? And I was just like, what? Hey, what's going on? And he's just like, everything's great. And I think America's going to love you this season on the show. And I was just like, what does that mean? They're going to love me on the show. Why? Why would they do that? Because I'm not going to be on it? Like,
so he never said, hey, you start
kind of
Monday,
danced around it, there was never like, congratulations, you're on the show. It was a lot like, maybe Brian Williams will start you. And I go like, what? Well, Brian Williams? I'm like, is he hosting? Like, and he did. Like, and I kind of was, never really said it. And he was, and literally, I believe his exact words were, well, you sound tired. And I went like, well, I am like, well,
Yeah, this is like a moment in my life that I'll never forget.
I was flustered, and I think I said, "Well, you made my day." And he goes, "Well, let's hope it lasts longer than that."
No,
like kind
really?
of like, and I was like, "I think I just got fired."
Oh
like,
my God.
I had no idea what happened, but I mean, it was. I'm sure he's had much worse.
And is the stress on that show everything that I think it is? Because you're writing as well as performing, correct?
Yeah. It was all consuming for 9 years, and it was the best. It was, but it was the funnest thing in the world. Like, it
Had
was,
to be. Who was the biggest host? And you went, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing the show with this person.
That's really funny that you said that, because like there was so many, like I sat on Robert De Niro's lap and told him I was going to kill him in his face. Like, and that to me, like, I don't even like, it's just silly. Like,
yeah.
but
why
like,
is this happening?
Yeah, but like I have a very distinct memory of like I had been there for a while. I had been there for a couple years, and Jim Carrey showed up, and for some reason, like he was like, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Carrey, the meeting, and he stood up and like started doing Jim Carrey kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just sat there looking at him going like, that's Jim Carrey. My whole life I'm on Saturday Night Live and Jim Carrey's hosting. He auditioned for this show. Like I was very self-aware in that moment, and I know this is bizarre. Well, that's not bizarre at all. I had the same exact thing all this morning. I was like, I've been listening to Marc Summers my entire
you
life.
Can't compare me to Jim Carrey. Right?
I completely disagree.
That's hysterical. That's
I completely disagree.
And are those rehearsals fun? I mean, I know you can write a sketch and you're in until the last minute and then it's gone.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Sometimes the show started and you're in the costume. I had that happen once or twice where I was in a costume and they're like, what are you doing? We're not doing that anymore. And I was like, what?
Oh my.
Yeah. Get out of that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and someone rips your clothes off and puts something else on you.
That thing moves like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it's people who work there are dedicated, wonderful,
and what's Lorne like? I always hear these stories. He's obviously great at what he does.
Yeah, I mean, like I go like he's a Canadian comedy nerd who has built himself a wonderful family and life and a place where he gets to
go play.
Yeah, and give people the opportunity to play as well.
That's amazing. When was the last time you were on?
A couple years ago, I went back and did they did David Pumpkins. It was a sketch that I was in and I helped write with Tom Hanks as like this Halloween weirdo. And he came back to do it, and I went back, and then I got to do Update as a character. I used to do Drunk Uncle.
Yeah, Drunk Uncle was big.
Yeah, it was fun. Crazy that you know it.
Tom Hanks is the only person that I've wanted to meet and have not in some form or fashion. I was doing a project for Mr. Spielberg, and he used to call me the fake Tom Hanks.
Thomas Spielberg? No,
yes.
He would call you fake Tom Hanks?
He said our voices sounded similar, but he referred to me as the fake Tom Hanks. And I said to him, I don't sound anything like Tom Hanks. I don't know what you're talking about. And Tom was doing something on Broadway. And the thing that I always do to get to people is I FedEx them. And 9 times out of 10, they do respond. So I had sent him a FedEx backstage to try to get to meet him, but I still haven't. I've heard wonderful things about him as well.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Yeah, I've heard amazing.
He's absolutely wonderful. He's a goofball. Rita, his wife, played my wife in a movie. Played my wife. Jesus, played my mom in a movie. And my I don't remember. I married her daughter. And they're the best. They're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, they seem like wonderfully human beings. That's amazing.
And Tom Hanks slaps my butt like every 5 years as dressed as when I'm dressed as a skeleton. That's a sentence I can say forever.
And so when it's over, how do you know it's over there? Do you decide?
Don't. It's still not over. It'll never be over.
No, but for you not doing the show as a regular.
Oh.
Does that phone call come and they say we're going a different direction, as they love to say in our industry?
You kind of know. You feel it coming, and there's a shelf life there, and there's people
9 years. That's a long run.
Thanks, Marc. Jesus Christ. No, no, it was. There's people who have done much longer, and there are people. Kenan's needed. I mean, Kenan is the show. He's the heart of the show. And
explain that to me. Because he's been there the longest. Because of his versatility.
Is hard,
oh God, I know.
And he is someone who when he started SNL, he already had a lifetime's worth of knowledge about how to act on a set. Doing
sketch
he was a kid,
comedy when he was doing Kenan
doing
and Kel.
sketch comedy.
Yeah.
So he is there, and he is. It's like if Lorne runs SNL, Kenan's Kenan teaches you how to do it, and just watching him. And there's no other person. I can't think of another person in the history of SNL that's like in the script where it's like we cut, and then if we don't have anything, we just cut to Kenan, and then we cut. It's like it's a famous thing to just cut to his face.
Yep.
Because he's going to make the correct.
His expressions
face.
are priceless.
Yeah.
But he's damn versatile too.
Yeah. I hope he's there forever.
Yeah, I
also hope he lives forever.
Yeah, another nice guy. He's done quite well for himself.
I mean,
it's
fine.
Yeah,
he's doing okay.
And I have lunch from time to time with Mr. Dennis Miller, who
nice.
Had a pretty damn good run there as well. His sense of humor is brilliant. One of the smartest humans I've ever met. Dana Carvey just moved up near where we live.
Wow.
There was a rumor for years that prior to me, Dana was offered Double Dare. And I'd heard it and heard it and heard it.
Scandalous.
I know. And I thought, I got it. And he was working at a comedy club up in Ventura. And I live up in that neck of the woods. And I called management and I said, can I meet with Dana after the show? Well, let me tell you about Dana. When he's done, I have to be holding the car keys out the back door, and he just leaves. So I can't guarantee you. And sure enough, he did. And through my never-ending quest to figure out Dana's email address, I finally got it about a year ago and said, I don't know if you know who I am. Here's the question I've heard for years. And it was absolutely not true. He said, now his agent might have gotten the phone call, but he said he never,
Isn't that crazy? So how long between hearing that and finding out that it wasn't true?
30 years.
30 years. And it bothered you?
I was just curious because the story I was told was that he was offered Double Dare and a week later he got SNL. Well, obviously I would take SNL over Double Dare. But he's 100% not true.
Not true.
So, some of those showbiz rumors that you wonder about. But at least I have the answer now.
I was Batman. I was supposed to be Batman. I'm just going to start rumors. I'm just going to start.
I can see you playing that.
Yeah, me too.
God, I used to work at the Comedy Store with Michael Keaton.
Wow.
Yeah, when he was doing stand-up.
Yeah.
Well, it's another one. People don't know that he started off doing stand-up.
I'm a huge fan of his, so I weirdly knew that. But
you?
that's crazy.
Yeah.
He did like all the Bazooka Joe stuff.
Yes.
And,
Yeah. He. When you think about the careers, tell me if this is true. One of your first
just being
jobs,
here around that time. That's so cool.
It's
sorry,
nuts.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I mean, I became a page in 1973. And the first show I worked on was Price is Right. And Barker was my idol. And then the next day they put me on Carol Burnett. Okay. And then my steady gig was working on Sonny and Cher. And so I worked the last Sonny and Cher show when the divorce had been announced. And it was just total chaos backstage because Cher wanted to get the hell out of there, and Sonny never wanted it to end. And we were there till like 2 o'clock in the morning until we were finally able to shut that stuff down. So to be a part of that, I mean, I worked on All in the Family and Maude and Good Times and, television history.
I want to take you out for beers 2 different times. All of these stories.
Oh, yeah.
And then one time just for Bert Reynolds.
Yeah. That Bert Reynolds story is.
I have spent hours of my life on that.
That's such a long story. We will go out for beers and I will tell you that story. Because that story, it took me almost 2 years from the time they said yes until I got on the show. And then the chaos of getting to the show. And then when all hell broke loose, which by the way, people still to this day think it was staged. And as I always say, I'm not that good of an actor. It just happened.
Dude. I want to shake your hand for going up against Bert Reynolds.
It was crazy.
That's the best.
I didn't even know what was going on.
How could you? That was insane.
It was. And the next day Jay calls me.
Star behavior at its worst. Like he was.
Well, but here was the deal. I started off as a stand-up, and it was my first time on the Tonight Show. I was not going to let this jackass screw it up for me. And so, Jay calls me the next day and goes, "Hey, what was going on with you and Bert?" And it's like, here's what was going on. I waited my whole life. I'm not going to let this son of a bitch screw it up for me, And
yeah.
you just got to go for it.
And you didn't. Oh man, that should be everywhere. I want to play you in the movie of that.
Oh my God! Every day I get stopped. Oh yeah, and if you go online, there are debates that go on about that was all set up. It's like no, if I was set, I could have never done it. But oh my God,
so good.
That's just the fact that you even remember that. But it's
I have. If I'm having a night where I can't sleep, I might end up on that easily. Multiple times in my life have been spent just enjoying that and trying to figure him out.
Oh yeah, well, so homicide, life on the street. You playing a doorman. Is that a true story? First gig?
I guess. Yeah, I think so. One of the first ones I was. I think it was Law and Order SVU or one of those shows. I was an extra and I just kept moving. Like I didn't know any better. I was just like, no, I'm not. They were like, stay here. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm going to jump in front of the camera whenever I can. And like, so like the first shot is everyone dancing and I'm dancing. And then it cuts to like behind the counter at the hotel and I'm standing there. And then it cuts to the elevator doors opening. I'm in the elevator. Like there's some episode of television out there. Maybe it's one of those where it's either that one or there was I think I was one with Richard Grieco where I was a janitor. I don't remember those early jobs. Like I think I did.
When you did that job, did you rehearse it? Did you know what you were supposed to be doing? Because I have a story where my agent sent me out to audition for a movie. I had never auditioned for a movie, but I get the part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we shoot it down by SC and then we're at the LA Hall of Records or City Hall or something. And I'm supposed to be a reporter. And I go up to whoever the star was. I don't remember now. And supposed to do an interview. Well, they never told me where I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to do. So when I did the audition, the director said to me, I know I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to hire you anyway. Okay. So I get hired. Nobody tells me where to go, where to stand, when to talk, this and that. 32 takes before I landed it. And the director grabbed me by the shirt around my neck and said, I knew I should have I should have never effing hired you for this reason, And because nobody I guess they assumed if you got the part, you knew what the hell to do. So when you did these shows, were you nervous? Did you go, I belong here?
No. Weirdly enough, I think I was too psyched to be there. Like my recollection is just like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. Oh my gosh, like we're here. Oh my gosh. I have a very distinct memory of one of my first jobs doing like this. There was a show called 100 Center Street.
I remember that show.
It was the first scripted show on the Court TV network. Like no one watched it.
Yeah.
But Alan Alda was on it, and my father knew who Alan Alda was.
And that was all
he needed. Like all I needed. And I was an extra, and I had an orange sweater on, and so they put me next to Alan Alda. Because like I had color on and I couldn't believe it. We were standing at a bar for the whole scene, called my whole family, couldn't wait for it to air. It comes on. It is my left shoulder from here. And you never see past here. So you never saw my face, but I was like, that's my shoulder. And my dad was like, we've wasted our time here.
I was doing warm-ups on a show called The Mac Davis Show. I don't know if you know who Mac is, but he was a singer.
Yep.
And we were on NBC. And I did a sketch with John Byner. And John Byner to me was like the best impressionist ever and to be on the same stage. So I called every human I had ever met and said, Saturday night, 10 o'clock, I'm doing a sketch with John Byner. One thing they forgot to tell me was it ended up on the editing room floor and nobody ever saw it. And I learned quickly then, you just never tell anybody.
I learned that at SNL.
I bet.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this great sketch tonight.
Because you could even, like, the show could be starting and be, it's in, congratulations, Mom, like, you get to watch it, and then they're like, we're 5 minutes over, it's cut, and you're like, God damn it.
It's so painful.
Yeah.
It really is. So the impression, so you mentioned Guy Fieri.
Yep.
And you had his mannerisms down, and it's when he was just sort of breaking through as like
he's just fun
major
star.
He's
like the Kool-Aid man.
But the other people, Chris Christie did.
Yeah.
David Crosby? I never saw that one.
That was probably a lot of wig and mustache. I may not have even spoke. I might have been like in like a crowd of people singing, I think. David Crosby was like a We Are the World type sketch or something. Probably just a look.
Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito. And you did Gandolfini as Tony Soprano?
That's one of my favorite things I got to do.
Tell me about that.
Seth, it was I think one of the only times I was at the pitch meeting, Seth, there was a TV show on at the time, the Carrie Diaries. It was like, the whole thing was, Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City, but like in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember
it was
that
called
at
the
all.
Carrie Diaries.
Wow.
I think it went one season. And not a lot of people remember it, I guess. And so we did a joke sketch, which was the Soprano Diaries, and it was all of them in high school. And I was like, Seth, please let me do this. Like, please let me do Gandolfini in this. I was like, I can't do a Gandolfini, but I can do high school Gandolfini.
That must have been so fun.
It was so much fun. That's one of my favorite things I've ever gotten to do. Kate McKinnon's Edie Falco in that is unstoppable.
I was on a plane flying to New York, and Gandolfini was on the next row over. And I wanted to go talk to him, but what do you say to Gandolfini?
Thank you, other than thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I was pooping my pants.
Oh, yeah.
So I looked at my watch, and we were going to land in a half hour. So I said, I'm going to go for it. So I went over to him and I said, excuse me, can I say something? And he said to me, why do you look familiar to me? We got into a whole conversation about doing Unwrapped on the Food Network, and I'm going, okay, I mean, I guess people watch this stuff. I don't know, but
hell yeah.
I didn't even know what to say, and he sort of took it in a whole different direction. You never know.
That's awesome. I'm so glad. Well, but I mean, like, yeah, it's. I feel like. Can you walk down the street?
You know, I've been on television
That's
for
what I mean.
almost 40 years
That's
now.
what I mean.
And it is interesting, between all the Nick stuff, and then I was at Food Network for 20 years.
Yeah.
First doing Unwrapped, but then I was producing Dinner Impossible, Restaurant Impossible. I hosted shows with Fieri. In fact, I hosted Next Food Network Star when Fieri won. So I go back that far with that stuff. So yeah, it's fascinating to walk. And then, of course, the Bert Reynolds thing never goes away. So, yeah, it's a weird thing. I started to do something that
I just feel like you like I don't know if we mentioned it on air or not, but Ted Danson, is somebody also who has been on air
forever,
just been on television for 50 years. Like, it's just like, so I was on SNL for 10 years, and that is something, they say your name every week.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it was very like, you know, and you can see the difference of when all of a sudden that stops.
Yeah. They
but
always
like,
say that if you haven't been on TV for 3 years, people forget who you are.
Who says that? I'm
Well,
gonna beat him up. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, it's funny. When I did this ridiculous cruise that I just dated, somebody came up to me and said, aren't you that guy who used to be on TV? And I went, yeah. And they said, well, you haven't been on TV for 20 years. How do you make a living? Now, first of all, who says that?
Yeah. I get the opposite, where people come up to me and they go, SNL sucks. And I go, I haven't been on it in a very long time.
Do
they
they
go,
really?
Tell Kenan he's great. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, my God.
Or like, people
are
they're treated
jackasses.
like the Yankees. Like they go like, that's my team, that's my show. You tell Andy Samberg, stop doing, like, it's like, I'm like,
so when you
these are my
grew up,
friends.
you were either a Red Sox or a Yankee fan for the most part. I mean, there are areas of Connecticut, there's a dividing line.
I went to UConn. Yeah, I disagree with that statement. I feel like
Really?
you. Well, I
I'm a
feel like
huge
you were a
Red Sox
Yankees
fan.
or Mets fan, and where I was from.
Yeah. But Fenway is still the best place to see a game. Do you ever go up
Do
there?
you want to fight? Am I going to fight Mark Summers? Did I wait my
Well,
life
first of
to
all,
meet Mark
old
Summers? And we're
Yankee
going to
Stadium was
fist
cool.
fight?
The new Yankee Stadium, come on.
I haven't been to the new Yankee Stadium. I don't
See,
know.
there
Is
you
it?
go.
No, I'm just kidding. I definitely have.
Have you?
Well, those Lorne seats right behind home plate were not so bad. Yeah.
Can you call and still get those?
I bet
you
if I
could.
tried,
Yeah.
it would take 6 to 9 days.
Married to a lady
Correct.
who's been on Broadway, correct?
Yeah.
Tell me what
Brandon
show
Malick.
she's done.
Oh, Avenue Q, Wicked, Honeymoon in Vegas, Annie. She's a bunch of stuff on,
She did
on,
Avenue
on
Q,
Broadway.
huh?
Yeah. I think that was where she started. I think she started in Avenue Q in like the Vegas touring company.
Oh.
Yeah, and then went to Broadway for a bit. A bunch. I'm leaving many out, but yeah, very decorated Broadway star.
And you have a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old.
7-year-old and a 1-year-old, both girls.
Both girls?
Yeah.
And what are their names?
Philip and Stephen. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know why I ever said my daughter. Dorothy. I don't know why. Dorothy and Diana.
Nice. And how has that changed your life?
I don't want to do anything but hang out with them and have long Saturday mornings where I don't do anything and like it feels like Christmas Day every day.
When do they start sports?
I'm good.
Yeah, it's
Dorothy started soccer. The Moynahans aren't athletes. Well, my sister was. My sister was like a phenomenal gymnast. But
really.
Like, oh yeah, I played ice hockey throughout high school and college, and I could care less if we won. I was just like, it's fun.
Didn't care.
I don't think I have the sport bone. I don't have the like. I gotta win. Like I definitely have like I gotta be the funniest one, but I don't have. I gotta win in sports. I'm more like you got it. I'm gonna go get some nuggets.
Well, the thing when they're that young, it's more like swarm ball when they're playing soccer. They don't know what's supposed to happen.
We were the Moynihan kids seem to be like we're the cartwheels in the outfield, kind of.
Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, who were the people that you admired when you were growing up on TV and movies?
You, Marc Summers.
No.
I loved SNL. I loved Chris Farley, all that. Like I knew who Lorne was. I knew who Jim Henson was. And I loved like those kind of like guys, like weirdly, like George Lucas. Like I liked weirdos that created like crazy, well, I just called Lorne a weirdo, that like created some sort of crazy universe of characters that we could play in.
But they are kind of weirdos. I mean, to do what they've done.
Acting.
Fusco, who did Alf, was managed by Bernie Brillstein.
Sure.
As was Jim Henson.
Yeah.
And the rumor goes that whenever Jim was coming into Bernie's office, he had to take down all the Alf posters. And you hear those things and you go, nobody was more famous at that art than Jim Henson. And yet, his ego was apparently large enough where he didn't want to know about that other guy. And I always find that 100% amazing. There are certain people in the industry. I didn't know Robin Williams really well, but I knew him because we worked the store together. The nicest human you would have ever wanted to meet, and you got that opportunity to meet him. And he was magical. Jay Leno, magical. There's just something about those folks that stood out. And we've met our share of a-holes throughout the industry as well.
Let's name them. No, let's go down one by one and name them. No.
We don't have enough time.
Yeah, right.
It's that whole thing about meeting your heroes.
Those beers. We get 3 beers now.
Yeah, at least. There was a comic who I really, really, really admired and then met him and could not have been more disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
Because his ego wouldn't fit in the room and he just dissed me. And I thought to myself, wow, really? On TV, he just seems like the nicest, most genuine human in the world.
It was Seth Meyers, wasn't it?
No, I'd never met Seth, as a matter of fact.
He's the greatest.
But it's annoying because we're all just people.
Yeah.
And
or you go like, oh my God, it's my idol.
Yes.
And immediately you go, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a comedian, there was a singer who I loved, absolutely loved. And I had never heard her before. I was working for a producer who gave me chest pains. And one night I ended up in the hospital. And I was my blood pressure was like off the charts. Oof. And the doctor came in and said, you're going to be dead in about another week if you keep working with this guy. You got to get out of this job. And I heard this woman on the Today Show. And all of a sudden I fell in love with her. I went out and bought every one of her CDs and found out that she was going to be at the Wilshire Theater. So I bought tickets and somebody recognized me and said, would you like to come backstage and meet her? And I thought, oh my God, this is unbelievable. This girl barely gave me the time of day and she was looking over my shoulder the entire time. And right in the middle of the story when I was telling her, I was in the hospital, I had chest pains and then I heard your music and she went, that's nice, and walked away from me. And I thought, now I can't listen to her music anymore because the person I thought she was, and I wasn't a big enough name, apparently, for her to spend, another 20 seconds with me. And I always use this line, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. Because all this is BS anyway.
You know what my favorite is?
What's that?
When, like, I'll go to a job or I'll start working, like, an acting job or something, and there'll be an actor or an actress there, and you meet them, and they're like, hi, how are you? And then someone will go like, or they don't recognize you right away or something. They're just no, whatever. And then someone will go like, oh, he was on Saturday Night Live. Hey,
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
The
all of a sudden.
Yeah. The all of a sudden is very fascinating.
It's what a weird world we're in.
Yeah, it stinks. It could be worse. We could be digging ditches and still be working with a bunch of weirdos and bitches.
But yeah. But do you find this? There's so much stuff on television right now with all these streaming services. If I, turn on the Emmys, I don't recognize 80% of those shows now because there's so many freaking shows on that I can't, back when it was NBC, CBS, ABC, and
there used to be 13 shows.
Yes. And now there's 113 shows. Yeah. And people say, have you ever
on each channel at every hour, and then there's also streaming, and then there's YouTube.
And I can't keep track of all this stuff. And somebody said, well, he's been doing this show on Hulu for 4 years. I don't know.
Why not?
It's nuts. And I think I got in at the right time, and I think I'm getting out at the right time because it's crazy now. Yeah, it's too hard.
All we got to do is live long enough to sell our face and voice to AI, and then we can die peacefully. and by that, I mean survive in the Ethernet of life. Yeah,
that's Ethernet of life.
Let the children play with our bones.
Tell me about the book you wrote.
No.
Yes. We're done. Good night, folks.
Good night, everybody. I'm taking the physical challenge.
What made you decide to write a book? Because that is so hard.
Someone asked.
Really?
Honestly, it was the pandemic.
And somebody said, you should
it was a little like, well, we can't act right now, so what do you want to do? And I was just like, I don't know. I've always I draw, maybe that's fun, or and then someone was like, did you ever think about a children's book? And I went no, I didn't. And then had an idea, called them back, and it was a very simple process from there. As far as it was super fun. I just came up with this. Remember just sitting there with my daughter and talking about counting sheep and just thinking, why do specifically people count sheep to fall asleep? Why are they boring? Why is it sheep?
Was it fun?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, fun in the sense of I'm glad I did it because I have something that I'll be able to share with my children forever.
Yep.
That was super fun, and I would love to do more. I love that kind of.
Does your daughter have any idea what you do for a living?
I think so now. She's starting to. I was at a birthday party the other day, and it was at a kids a Sky Zone, the trampoline place. And I went with a friend who is on a Nickelodeon show. He plays Henry Danger, the dad on Henry Danger. So I kind of got a taste of Nickelodeon fame. It was every single child came up to him and took a picture. But my daughter went hey, how come, I see people do that to you all the time. How come they're doing it to him, but not you now? She kind of asked me, why are they taking his picture, but no one's asking for your picture?
Wow.
And I went
Very astute.
He's on a show. He's on a show where a lot of kids watch, and there's a lot of kids here. I was like, a lot of kids. And then I go, I don't have to explain to her that a lot of kids don't watch SNL. She doesn't know what SNL is.
No.
I don't have to know why I'm defending my ego part of it. I'm I'm on a trampoline.
That's right. Oh my God.
But she has she knows, I think she knows that my job is to do voices for cartoons. I don't know if she knows what that means, but she knows my voice is in a lot of cartoons. And every once in a while she'll see me and go weird. But
have you done any of these cons?
Oh, of course. Yeah, a bunch.
Yeah. And because I figured between SNL and
I used to go just as a fan and just as just for fun. Now I get to go for work. Now they pay me to go, which is wonderful.
Yes,
but
I just started doing them. It's,
signings and stuff. Oh yeah,
fascinating.
I mean, a microcosm every 10 feet.
Yes, and they come in costume. The first one I did Comic-Con down in San Diego. The craziest people I've ever met in my entire life.
Has anyone brought slime and asked to you to throw it at them?
Oh yeah, pies. Will you pie me, please? I get this all the time.
I'm so sad that I asked the question. I was of course.
It's what people want you to do. There's this one young lady. I just did this show off Broadway. I was there for 16 weeks. Fascinating. It's the people who come backstage and want to talk about things that you haven't thought about in 22 years, but they remembered it because it was an integral part of their life, and you got to try and recall what that's all about. But I did my first con a year ago in Connecticut, and this one young lady came up and had her picture done 3 times with me. And I said to her, "You got one. Why do you keep doing?" "Oh, well, it's important to me, and you were an integral part of my life and all that kind of stuff." And I said, "Can I ask you a question?" She said, "Yeah. How much money have you spent this weekend?" And it was like $2,200 getting autographs and pictures.
People like to do what they love.
I
Make them
guess
feel
so.
nice.
And I'm complimented that anybody even remembers.
You are extremely humble and a little bit unaware of just hearing your voice is the most soothing.
So crazy.
It's the most soothing. I've heard it my entire life. There are certain people in my life where I hear their voice and I just go like, everything's gonna be okay. You sound like it's like you were my babysitter.
Yeah, I was a babysitter for a lot of people.
It's crazy.
No question about it.
I'm 97 years old. You know that, right? But like honestly, I was thinking about it all this morning. I was just like, your voice alone it's the most. I know it so well.
When the first one I did,
you should do ASMR videos for 40-year-olds.
Yeah, I probably should. You're right. Alicia Silverstone was across the way on my first autograph show, and it worked out perfect for me because although people came to see me, her line was so long that I got like the sloppy seconds of Alicia Silverstone's group, which was fantastic. But the one I'm doing this weekend, it's like Lorraine Bracco and huge, Priscilla Presley and all these and people who you would never think in a million years would do these things are now everybody's doing them. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I went to one 20 plus years ago. And I went, my friend Bert Reynolds, who is exec producer, he created Sally Jesse Raphael and Jerry Springer and Paul Fusco. So we went, and it was sad. Unless some of these people had their names in front, you wouldn't know who the hell they were.
Yeah, there's an element of that.
Yeah, and I was a page on the Mary Tyler Moore Show,
Jesus,
and Ed Asner was over the corner signing mimeograph scripts of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And he remembered me from being the head page over there. And I said, "Ed, what are you doing?" And he said, "Summers, how are you?" And I said, I'm doing good. I said, "Why are you doing this?" And he said, "I got a divorce." So Ed Asner, as much dough as he made, was doing autographs to pay the alimony, I guess, or something.
Yeah, I mean, like carpenters build a bathroom to pay for their wedding.
Yep.
I did a Pizza Hut commercial to pay for my wedding.
Why not?
Is it that much weirder?
No, I guess not, because that's what we do.
It's just on TV. I guess if you had to watch a man build a house while eating Pizza Hut, then it would be embarrassing for him, too.
I'm sure HGTV has done that show, but...
Pizza Hut, thank you. I had a beautiful wedding, and I also body by Pizza Hut.
Where did you get married?
Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Winery. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
And where'd you go on your honeymoon?
Hawaii.
Ah, nice.
We were big Lost fans, the TV show Lost.
Yes.
So we did like a tour of all the places where they shot Lost in Hawaii and took a bunch of pictures. And Jorge Garcia is a friend of ours. He was on Lost. He played Hurley on Lost. So we did like a Lost escape room with Jorge because he couldn't do it without us.
We shot a...
it was the best. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. And then we went to like a real
sort of resorty kind of place. Yeah, I shot a Dinner Impossible episode on the Lost set with all those guys. And it was
on the set.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that was way cool.
I am definitely gonna look that up on YouTube
look that one
tonight.
Up. We were cooking pigs under sand and doing all sorts of crazy stuff as they used to do back in the day, as they say. But that set was pretty cool.
Do you cook as well? You don't have a
it's funny.
Background.
I never wanted to be on Food Network. I was pitching another show with another person because I was producing, and they kept saying, "Well, why don't you do something on Food Network?" And I'm thinking to myself, I don't cook. I don't do anything. And so
just get that voice talking about candy.
Well, here's what I found out. They did their research and found out that the audience grew up watching me on Nick had now moved on to the next, network, and that was Food Network. And so they offered me a show called It's a Surprise. It was all about surprise parties. The surprise was nobody was watching. And so they said, "We did a special called Unwrapped. Take a look at this and tell us what you think." And I said, "I think what, biography could on A&E was, I think Unwrapped could be the Food Network." And, for the next 11 years, I did hundreds and hundreds of episodes of Unwrapped. And so And then I
for
started exec
you,
producing
man.
Dinner and Restaurant Impossible. And so through osmosis, I learned a lot about cooking because, not name dropping, but Bobby Flay is one of my dearest friends. And so.
I was on Beat Bobby Flay.
Oh, you were on?
Not to name.
How'd you do?
I don't remember. I was just a judge.
It's a fun show, though.
It was. It was a
It's
blast.
intense to be on that show.
Very much so.
Yeah, because
I just-
Bobby takes it very seriously.
Mhm.
There's no screwing around there at all. If you're not here to, do the job the way I want it to be done, I don't want to see you again.
He's great. He would he would show up at SNL a lot and make food. Like I
Really?
think he was like friends with Drake or something. Like Drake had him come by, and I don't know. It was SNL. It was always some insane scenario where it's like Dan Aykroyd sent Bobby Flay over to make food, or Drake sent Bobby Flay over to make food for everybody. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I'll take that.
I
right?
still guess I'm going to play a gay fireman this week. I don't know what's happening. Everyone hates me.
There's anything wrong with that, by the way. That's crazy. That's crazy. So, what are the best perks? Tickets to concerts and getting in to restaurants.
You know what's funny? I will answer that question completely honestly. The best perk about SNL was SNL tickets, and I used them like currency. It was like I traded in a lot of like I really enjoyed like the comic book world, that whole world. Great. So when Comic-Con rolled around, all these comic book artists would be like, we want to come to the show, and I'd be like, sure, and then they would give me either original art or like I started cashing them in for like things that I loved, or just with people. Like I realized all of a sudden, like it was like somebody would be like, I want to propose to my girlfriend on the SNL stage, and I was like, I can make that happen for you.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, I had that one. I did it once, and they did it, and I got really emotional, and I never pressed record on the camera.
No,
they had to do it again.
Oh my!
Yeah, I'm a dummy.
Too much pressure.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, sorry guys. They're divorced now, I think.
So, what is the one thing that you have not done that you would like to do, and who is the one person you haven't met that you would like to meet?
Wow. I'm gonna use this opportunity to do that thing where you like put stuff out there.
Yeah.
I would love to do some sort of live action Star Wars. Anything. I want to be a creature mostly.
That'd be cool.
That would just be fun. I would love to play the Blob in the Marvel universe. The guy in the blue and yellow outfit, Fred Dukes. I want to play him at some point. But like that's career stuff. What do I want to do in life? I think I just want to get healthy and spend time with my kids, and then just make sure and I did a good job with them.
So is healthy because of the kids? Have you always had a issue with things that you want to change health wise?
I think I had upbringing that wasn't too concerned about health, and now I realize that I'm raising two kids, and I gotta
you gotta be around first of all.
I gotta be around, and also I gotta teach them better than I was taught a little bit.
Easier said than done.
No, I disagree. I think I'll get it.
I remember after every Little League game, we would go to some bad pizza place or go to, some bad hamburger place where the kids are, the worst is going to Chuck E. Cheese.
Bad hamburger place.
Because they don't really care about the food, which is...
I disagree. No, I mean, I agree with you. It's a hell on earth.
It is.
I was in a Chuck E. Cheese recently, and I almost got into a physical fist fight with a gentleman.
Tickets that you got out of the machine or what?
People were being absolutely insane, and I made a half a face. I went like, oh my God. And the guy went, did you say something to my wife? And I went, I'm about to go to jail in a Chuck E. Cheese.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to work on this stuff? I mean, because
person I want to meet, I'm just gonna go Jennifer Love Hewitt. Why not? I never met her. I think she would be nice to meet.
Very nice lady.
No, I always say Jennifer Love Hewitt to that question.
Do you really?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Snoop Dogg, I used to be it, but I met him. Jennifer Love Hewitt, I don't know, she seems fun.
Yeah. I was with Fietti introduced me to Snoop Dogg at South Beach Food and Wine.
What is your life, Marc Summers? That's a sentence and a half right there.
Yeah, it's the people that I've gotten to meet because of...
The combinations are always fun.
Yes.
I have a picture of like It's me, Emma Stone, 50 Cent, and Beck Bennett. And it's like,
Why?
it's absolutely insane.
Fieri and Flay posted a picture this week. They're at the Olympics. It was Bobby, David Zaslav, who runs all the networks, Guy, John Travolta, and Sacha Baron Cohen. What the hell do any of those people have to do with each other?
It's the new Suicide Squad movie.
It really is. And I looked at that picture like for about 5 minutes and went, how the hell did that happen? You know?
They all have the same lawyer.
That must be, or something. I mean, but you're right. Those combinations of photos.
I love it. I love it. There's a great one. It's David Spade, Ringo Starr, and the character Pinhead from Hellraiser. Have you ever seen that one? Google it. Fantastic. Fantastic picture.
Wow. I'm trying to absorb all that.
I saw one recently that was like a cool one. It was like Tupac and Chris Farley, or like it was a bunch of like cool people, but like I like the weirdest one I've ever seen is that David Spade, Ringo Starr, and Pinhead from Hellraiser is my favorite.
Have you done Spade and Carvey's podcast?
Yeah, I got to do it.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
Those guys are good in the stories that they can pull
Well, they're
up.
legends, man. They are like Lorne always says your SNL cast was when you were in high school is your favorite SNL cast.
Yeah.
And like those guys I grew up on them.
Yeah, well, I grew up with
Legends.
Belushi and all those guys
Wow.
when it first launched, and it's what kept the thing going for 50 years.
Crazy.
Yeah. So does Lorne retire?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
It's the 50th this year. I just did a thing for the 50th, and it's I can't believe it's here already.
Yeah.
I was at the 40th, and like I don't think he will. I mean, he loves it.
Yeah.
He loves it so much, and he's so good at it, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll take it over. I'll do it. You want to do it with me?
Yeah, I'd love to do it.
let's do
I was 22 when that show went on the air. That's hard to think
Wow,
about.
I was 2.
You Yeah, well, that makes sense.
I'm 47.
You're 47.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people like you and me, maybe chronologically, whatever those, I'm 72, but I still,
What?
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But I still think I'm 25.
You are.
Yeah. I mean, I've never matured.
You haven't aged.
I haven't aged. And I
I don't feel any mentally older than 19. I stopped at 19.
Yeah, 100%.
It was done then.
Well, and I think that's what keeps you young.
Yeah.
Is that, you see these old people walking around who are 3 years younger than me with walkers because you don't stay active.
Yeah.
Say, why are you still working? Well, what the hell else am I supposed to do?
Die.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy what I do. And I always say this, I've never worked a day in my life.
True. Same.
I just feel like I'm lucky to have this opportunity, and I get to come here and talk to folks like you, and I learn things from people, and it's just interesting as hell. And yes, you're right, we're lucky. But stop and do what? I have no hobbies. I don't garden. I don't have any of that stuff. I have grandkids now, and that's fun. But I mean, when I was thinking, I did.
But this is what we love doing. Too.
Yeah, I hosted Easter at the White House.
God.
And that was just the nuttiest thing. And I'll do the story, then we got to go because we'll talk for hours. I was a regular on a show called The Home Show on ABC.
Yes.
And I was filling in hosting for a week because Gary Collins wasn't there. So I was supposed to have, Hillary and Donna Shalala on as guests. Hillary couldn't come at the last minute. And
this is Hillary Duff.
Pardon me?
This is Hillary Duff.
Hillary Duff. Exactly. So I get invited to the White House, and there was I thought I'm going to say all this stuff to Clinton. I just have a million things I want to say to him, and so they announce you, Mr. President, Marc Summers, and you come around and you go, why the hell am I even here? None of this makes any sense. And Hillary, who I had never met, throws her arms around me and goes, oh my God, Marc, how are you? Bill, remember Marc? And he's looking at me like every other husband. I have no idea who this guy is. He goes, I was supposed to do the home show, and then I couldn't go for the last minute, and these other people did it, and we watched it. Remember the night we watched it? And the eyes are going in the back of his head now. And I can't diss the First Lady because she's the First Lady, but I wanted to talk to him. Well, after him hearing about 5 minutes of conversations you care less about, he said to me, Mark, do you want to have your picture taken with us? And I said, yeah, absolutely, sir. And so he puts his arm around me and gives me the Vulcan death grip. Okay, you can see it in the picture. And then he does one of these, moves his head, and the Secret Service escorts me out of the White House, okay? And I went to the Secret Service guy and I said, I'm supposed to be hosting an event there. And he goes, yeah, you're not going back in there. And so Bill Clinton threw me out of the White House. Apparently, I don't know if he thought his wife and me were having something going on or whatever the hell it was, but he pinched my neck and then threw me out of the White House, man.
You have now have fights with Bill Clinton and Bert Reynolds. Don't fuck with Marc Summers.
But I mean, you get put in these situations where stuff happens to you.
One of the weirdest moments of my life. One of the most embarrassing. I don't even know if embarrassing is the right word. Just like one of those moments where you're like, what is happening right now? The 12-12-12 concert for Sandy relief.
Right.
A couple days before, I think it was Bill was supposed to do Stefan, and something happened, and like that wasn't happening, so they asked me to do Drunk Uncle, come out with Seth Meyers and do Drunk Uncle live at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, man.
In between Kanye West and Billy Joel in like the 6th hour of this concert. So all of New Jersey is, including Chris Christie in the audience, is waiting for Billy Joel, but they have to sit through Kanye West first in a kilt as he's cursing and dropping M-bombs and he's throwing his mic. And we were about to go out on stage and Chris Rock grabbed me by the shoulders and was like, do not go out there.
He said that?
100% was like, don't go out there.
Why?
He's like, they're gonna murder you. Don't go out there.
Oh my.
And we went out, and the second we got out there, Madison Square Garden stood up to go get beers. They were just like, we don't want this comedy sketch right now. I bombed so hard and was like, ladies and gentlemen, Billy Joel, and then walked down the main stairs of Madison Square Garden dressed as Drunk Uncle, walked through the front doors and walked home, started walking home because I was so embarrassed. And then I got a phone call halfway. They're like, your car's here waiting for you. I'm like, I'm halfway home. I was like, I'm halfway home already. I'll give you the costume tomorrow. I was in the wig. I walked home dressed as Drunk Uncle through New York City from Madison Square Garden to 47th Street where I lived.
I don't know. There was a person you may not remember. His name was Soupy Sales, and
of course, I'm very familiar.
I idolized him as a kid, and we became very, very close. And I was supposed to do a eulogy at his funeral. I got stuck on a train from Philadelphia to New York, and I listened to the funeral on a phone, but I never got to him. So they were doing an affair in his honor at the Friars Club, New York City. Now that was like the Taj Mahal to me to even be allowed in the joint. And they wanted me to speak on Soupy's behalf. And it was every comic that I ever grew up with and then some at this service. I did what I thought was funny material. And I bombed in the Friars Club nuclear. Okay, it was insane. And as I was walking off stage, Robert Klein tapped me on the back and went, nice try, kid.
Oh, but good for him, though. I mean, it's rough, but he was trying.
He was trying, but nice try, kid. And from Robert Klein, who I, grew up watching on the Mike Douglas show and thought he was like the funniest man in the history of the world.
But it was a nice try.
It was a nice try, but you don't want to have that happen in front of your heroes, you know?
Well, by the way, that's what I was saying. I'm backstage dressed as Drunk Uncle. The Rolling Stones are right here.
No.
Anne Hathaway, all these people, they're looking at me. I'm in a costume with a fake drink in my hand. They're looking at me waiting to, in this green room. I'm like, what is happening to me? And Bill Clinton, Chelsea Clinton, and Hillary Clinton walk by, and Bill Clinton just goes,
no.
Just kind of, and I was like, what is happening?
What is happening here?
Mick Jagger's looking at me going like, what is this? I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, crazy. Sorry,
is.
I forgot the Bill Clinton part, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
life is nuts, and we're very, 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 very lucky white men.
Yeah, we are. We're lucky humans. I've had a ball, and it's gone by way too quickly, but we'll get those beers, and we'll talk about all those things you've wanted to know. And
I just want to beat up. I just want to find Bert Reynolds and beat him up with you.
Bobby Moynihan, thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. Take care. Marc Summers Unwraps is a production of Believe Limited, created by me, Marc Summers, and Jessica Richmond. Produced by Keith Corneluk and Jessica Richmond. Executive produced by Patrick James Lynch and Ryan Geelan. Post-production support from Joshua Sterling Bragg and Believe Limited. Don't forget to subscribe or follow the show on your favorite podcast player, and if you really love it, why don't you leave us a rating and a review? Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Marc Summers Unwraps.